The red moon called Crimson 4 was far from Earth, covered in glowing rocks and strange winds that moved like whispers. Human explorer Ryan Cole had been sent there by Earth Command to find new energy sources. His small ship landed on a plain filled with tall crystal pillars that gave off soft blue light. The air was thin, and the ground seemed alive under his boots, pulsing slowly as if it had a heartbeat. Ryan stepped out of his ship and looked around. He spoke into his recorder and said, "This place is not empty. The crystals look like they are growing. I can feel energy moving through them." He placed a sensor on one of the pillars and watched it blink. The readings were strong, stronger than anything Earth had seen before. If they could harness that power, it could change the future of humanity. But as Ryan took another step forward, a deep hum filled the air. The ground started to glow brighter. He turned and saw shadows moving between the crystal towers. Shapes appeared, tall figures covered in shining armor that reflected the light like water. Each carried a spear made of the same crystal that grew from the ground. They surrounded him quietly, their eyes glowing like stars. Ryan raised his hands to show he meant no harm. He said calmly, "I'm a peaceful explorer. I come from Earth. I seek to learn, not to fight." The figures looked at each other but said nothing. One stepped forward and spoke in a voice that echoed through his helmet. "You stand on sacred ground, human. No creature from the stars has entered this place before." Ryan noticed that the being's voice was neither male nor female, but smooth and strong. Before he could answer, the guards gestured for him to follow. Ryan had no choice. He followed them through a narrow path between tall glowing crystals until they reached a giant gate made of living stone. It opened slowly, revealing a huge hall filled with light. At the center of the hall stood a throne made of twisting crystal vines. And upon that throne sat a figure unlike any he had ever seen. The alien queen was tall and graceful, her body covered with soft blue and silver patterns that shimmered as she moved. Her eyes glowed like deep oceans. A crown of small floating crystals circled her head, giving her an almost divine presence. When she spoke, her voice was calm and musical. "You are the one they call human," she said. "Why do you step upon my moon without my call?" Ryan bowed slightly. "I am Ryan Cole, explorer from Earth. I came here to study the energy your world holds. I did not know it belonged to your people." The queen looked at him for a long time, her expression unreadable. "Few dare to come to this place," she said. "Your kind travels far, chasing light and power. Yet you come alone. Are you not afraid?" Ryan straightened himself. "I have been to many worlds, Queen. I came not to take, but to understand. If this land is sacred, I will leave if you wish." The queen's lips curved slightly. "You are brave," she said. "Or perhaps foolish. Most beings tremble when they stand before me." She rose from her throne and walked closer. Ryan noticed she did not walk like a human. She moved as if the air itself carried her, each step light and smooth. She stopped in front of him, close enough for him to see that her eyes were filled with light, not pupils. She studied him carefully. "Your form is strange, yet there is something in your eyes I recognize. Tell me, human, what do you seek? Knowledge? Wealth? Glory?" Ryan shook his head. "None of those. I seek understanding. Every new world teaches us something about life. I want to learn how your people live, what makes your world shine like this." The queen tilted her head slightly. "You wish to learn from me?" she asked. "Few have ever asked that. Most come to take what they can." She turned away and walked back to her throne. The guards moved aside silently. She sat down again and said, "Very well. You will not be punished for entering. You will stay here for now. You will answer my questions, and in return I may answer yours." Ryan felt both relief and unease. He bowed again. "Thank you, Queen, I am honored." The queen nodded slightly. "My name is Lyra," she said softly. "Queen of the Crystal Dominion, ruler of the Red Moon. You will speak with respect, but you will not fear me." That night, Ryan was taken to a chamber carved inside the living crystal. The walls glowed faintly, giving soft light. The air was warm, and he could hear the faint hum of energy around him. He sat on the floor and looked at the small recording device in his hand. "Day 1, he whispered. "The queen is called Lyra. She is not like any life I have met. She is curious. Her people move in silence, but with purpose. I do not think they want war. There is something deeper here." As he spoke, he thought of Lyra's eyes. There was something in them, not cold or cruel, but searching. It felt as though she carried the weight of many lives. yet still wanted to understand something beyond her reach. The next day, 2 guards came to take him back to the throne room. This time the hall was brighter. The queen waited with a small group of her advisors standing nearby. She spoke as he entered. "Human, I have studied your people from afar. I know you build great cities and travel across the stars, but I do not understand your hearts. What drives you to risk so much for knowledge?" Ryan thought for a moment before answering. "Curiosity. It is what makes us human. We always want to see what is beyond the next mountain, the next star. Sometimes it brings danger, but it also brings growth." Lyra listened carefully. "Curiosity," she repeated. "A dangerous gift." Her advisors murmured among themselves, but she raised her hand and they fell silent. "Tell me, human, what is this thing you call emotion? My people have knowledge, but we do not feel as you do. We exist in peace without anger or joy. Yet when I look at you, I sense something strong, something alive." Ryan explained that emotions were what gave humans their strength. "We feel fear, love, pain, and hope," he said. "It is what makes us fight for others, what makes us explore the stars. Sometimes emotions hurt us, but they also give us meaning." Lyra leaned back slowly. "Fascinating," she said. "So you are guided not by logic, but by something inside the heart." She touched her chest gently, as if trying to understand the concept. "Perhaps that is what makes your kind so restless." Ryan smiled faintly. "Maybe, but it is also what helps us connect to others." The queen looked at him quietly for a long time. "Connection," she said softly. "Perhaps that is what our world has lost." Her gaze drifted toward the tall crystals behind her throne. "Our people are born from the energy of the moon. We do not have families or bonds. We live, serve, and return to the energy when our time ends. But when I look at you, human, I wonder if there is something more." Ryan felt a strange mix of respect and sorrow. "There is always more to find," he said. "Sometimes we only need to look beyond what we already know." Lyra smiled slightly, though her eyes looked distant. "You speak wisely for a creature so young," she said. "Perhaps your presence here is not a mistake." As the guards led him away, Ryan looked back once more. The queen was still watching him, her hand resting on the glowing crystal beside her throne. He felt that something had changed in that moment. She was not just a ruler anymore. She was a being who wanted to understand what it meant to feel. Later that night, Ryan stood outside his chamber and watched the sky. The stars were close and bright, and the surface of the moon shimmered under their light. He thought about Earth, about the people waiting for him, and about the strange queen who ruled this world of crystal. He felt that his mission had just begun, but in a way he had never imagined. Something deep inside him whispered that this meeting would change not just his life, but the fate of 2 worlds. Days turned into weeks on the red moon. Ryan stayed under the protection of Queen Lyra, living inside a crystal hall that glowed like dawn. Her people watched him with mixed feelings. Some saw him as a guest, others as a strange outsider who should not walk among them. But the queen's order was clear. No one would harm the human. Each morning, Ryan was taken to the main chamber where Queen Lyra waited. She no longer wore her full royal armor. Instead, she appeared in soft robes made of silver threads that reflected the light around her. She would ask him questions for hours about Earth, about humans, and about things she could not understand. One day she asked, "Tell me, human, what is friendship?" Ryan smiled faintly. "It is when 2 people care for each other. They trust and help one another even when they gain nothing in return." Lyra listened carefully. "We do not have that," she said quietly. "We are all born from the same energy, and we serve together. But there is no bond beyond duty. You speak of emotions as if they are a gift, yet they sound like pain." Ryan shook his head. "Sometimes they bring pain, but they also bring happiness. Friendship makes life brighter. Without it, we would be cold inside." Lyra looked away, her bright eyes dim for a moment. "Cold inside," she repeated softly. "Perhaps that is what we are." After that day, her questions grew more personal. She asked about laughter, art, and love. Ryan explained how humans sing and paint to express feelings. He even showed her a small recording device that played soft violin music. When the sound filled the chamber, every crystal around them shimmered with light. The queen's eyes widened. She stood and moved closer to the device, watching it as if it were alive. "This sound, it touches the air like water," she said slowly. "What is it called?" "It is music," Ryan answered. "It helps us share feelings without words. This one is called a violin. It is made on Earth." The Queen closed her eyes and listened until the music ended. Then she opened them again and said quietly, "It made my chest feel heavy, but not in pain. It was like something inside wanted to move. Is that emotion?" Ryan nodded. "Yes. That is how humans feel when they connect to something beautiful." From that day, the Queen asked to hear more music each time they met. Sometimes she would stand near Ryan and listen silently for long minutes. The guards looked uneasy, unsure how to act when their queen ignored all royal formality to spend time near a human. As days passed, Ryan noticed that the Queen began to smile more often. She would ask him to tell stories about human explorers, about oceans, about the rain. When he described how water fell from the sky on Earth, she looked amazed. "Our world has no rain," she said. "Our crystals drink light, not water. Your world must be alive in a way mine is not." Ryan replied, "Every world has its beauty, Queen. Yours shines with light. Ours shines with life." Her lips curved gently. "You speak as if you love your world deeply." "I do," Ryan said. "And now I am beginning to love learning about yours." Lyra's expression softened. "Then perhaps we can both learn from each other." That night, when Ryan returned to his chamber, he wrote in his journal, "The Queen is changing. She laughs now. Her people whisper, but she does not care. I think she is trying to understand feelings for the first time." The next morning, Ryan was walking through the crystal gardens when he heard a voice behind him. "You are the first to make her smile," said one of the guards. The being was tall and wore a silver chest plate. "No one in our history has seen such a thing. You should be careful, human. The council believes your presence weakens her." Ryan turned. "I have no wish to weaken anyone. I only answer her questions." The guard lowered his voice. "She listens to you more than to us. That is dangerous. Our people believe emotion leads to chaos. If she changes too much, they may act against her." Ryan frowned. "You mean they might try to remove her?" The guard did not answer directly. "Be careful," he said, then walked away. Ryan felt uneasy. He understood now that his presence was causing tension, but he also knew the Queen's curiosity was honest. She was not pretending. She truly wanted to understand humanity. Later that day, when Ryan returned to the throne room, he found the Queen sitting quietly with her eyes closed. The hall was empty. She looked peaceful, but there was something in her face that showed loneliness. When she opened her eyes and saw him, she smiled slightly. "I was thinking about what you said yesterday. You told me that humans love through emotion. I wonder, can love be learned?" Ryan hesitated. "I don't know, Queen. Love is not a lesson. It is something that grows slowly through care and trust." She stood and walked closer, her voice calm but curious. "Then tell me, human, have you ever loved?" Ryan paused. The question surprised him. "Yes," he said finally. "A long time ago, but that was before I became a traveler. Love needs two people to stay close. I traveled too far for that." Lyra looked thoughtful. "Then your heart carries memory but not pain. That is rare." She stepped back and said, "I think I wish to understand this feeling. Love seems to be the one thing my people lack. We have knowledge, strength, and light, but no warmth." Ryan smiled gently. "Maybe one day you will feel it." Her eyes glowed brighter. "Perhaps that day is already coming." The words hung in the air, but Ryan said nothing. He could not tell what she truly meant. She turned and said softly, "Come tomorrow, human. I want to show you something beyond the palace." The next morning, he followed her through winding paths that led to the heart of the moon. They came to a wide cavern filled with crystals of every color. Streams of light flowed between them like rivers of fire. Lyra said. This is the source. It gives life to all of us. From this place, my people are born. When one ends, another rises. But I wonder, what if life was more than energy? What if it was choice? Ryan looked at the glowing crystals. On Earth, we are born from other humans. We live once and we try to make that life meaningful. It is choice that gives life purpose. Lyra touched one of the crystals and said quietly, Then perhaps we have lived without purpose all this time. Her voice carried sadness, and Ryan could feel her struggle. She was a queen who ruled a perfect, peaceful world, yet something inside her wanted more than perfection. They stood there in silence for a long moment. Finally, Lyra turned to him and said, I want to understand your world, human. I want to see the oceans, the skies, and the rain you speak of, Ryan said. If peace continues between our worlds, maybe one day you can. She looked at him, her eyes glowing brighter. Would you take me there if that day comes? Ryan hesitated, then nodded. Yes, I would. Lyra smiled, a real, warm smile. Then I will wait for that day. When they returned to the palace, the guards and advisors were watching from a distance. Their faces showed worry. The High Council stood near the entrance. One of them stepped forward and bowed before the Queen. Your Majesty, we must speak, he said firmly. The Council believes your connection with the human has gone too far. Our laws forbid emotional ties with outsiders. Lyra's expression hardened. I am your queen. You will not question my will. The advisor bowed lower but did not leave. Forgive me, my queen, but the people are afraid. They see your heart changing. They say the human clouds your judgment. Ryan stepped forward. Queen Lyra, maybe I should leave for a while. I do not want to cause trouble. Lyra looked at him sharply. You will not leave without my word. She turned to the council. If my people fear change, then they are not as strong as I thought. The human stays. The hall fell silent. The guards bowed and the council stepped back, but the tension was heavy in the air. Ryan knew this decision would bring consequences. Later that night, he stood on the palace balcony looking at the stars. The queen joined him quietly. They do not understand, she said. They think emotion is weakness, but I see it as strength. You have opened a door inside me, human. I do not know where it leads, but I want to walk through it. Ryan looked at her glowing eyes and said softly, Then walk through it, Queen. I will walk beside you. Lyra smiled again, and for a moment the great red moon felt less lonely. But far below the palace, deep within the crystal halls, whispers of rebellion began to rise. Some among her people had decided that if the queen could not forget the human, they would remove him themselves. The days after the council's warning were tense inside the crystal palace. Guards moved with sharper eyes. Advisors spoke in whispers. Yet Queen Lyra continued to meet Ryan each day as if nothing had changed. Her calm voice filled the great halls, and her soft laughter echoed among the shining walls. It was something no one on the Red Moon had ever heard before. To her people, laughter was strange, almost frightening. To Ryan, it was beautiful. Ryan knew the queen was risking much by keeping him close, but he also saw that she was changing in ways she could not stop. Each time they spoke, she seemed to understand humanity more deeply. She learned about kindness, about fear, about the feeling of being alone, and about the courage to stand against what others expected. One evening, when the twin suns dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in red and gold, Lyra invited Ryan to walk through the outer gardens. The crystals there grew like tall trees, glowing gently as the light faded. The air was warm and a soft hum came from the ground. It felt alive, as if the moon itself was listening. Lyra walked beside Ryan without guards for the first time. She said, When I was born from the source, I was told I must never question what I feel. Our kind are not made for emotion. Yet every time I speak with you, I feel something new. I do not understand it, but I do not want it to stop. Ryan smiled. Feelings are what make life special. It means you are alive in a new way. Lyra looked at him carefully. Do you feel the same, human? Do I make you feel something new? Ryan paused. He had been asked many questions since arriving, but never one so direct. Yes, he said at last. You make me see life differently. You make me believe that peace between our kinds is possible. She stopped walking and turned to him. Then it is not only peace I want to build. I want to understand this feeling between us. My heart beats when I see you. It is strange, but it gives me strength. Ryan felt his chest tighten. He could see the honesty in her eyes, glowing like stars beneath the crystal light. Queen Lyra, he said softly, what you feel is powerful, but it is also dangerous. Your people may not accept it. You could lose everything. She raised her head proudly. If feeling this is wrong, then perhaps I no longer wish to be right. Before he could speak again, a loud sound shook the air. The ground trembled under their feet. From the distance, flashes of light rose into the sky. The palace alarms began to ring, echoing through the valley. Lyra turned sharply and said, "The rebels. They are moving sooner than I thought." Ryan followed her as she ran toward the palace gates. Guards rushed past them with weapons drawn. When they reached the main hall, flames of blue energy filled the air. The rebels, covered in dark crystal armor, had broken through the lower gates. They shouted that the queen had betrayed their ways by allowing emotion to corrupt their race. Ryan saw the chaos spreading. He pulled out the small plasma pistol from his belt. It was old and nearly out of power, but it was all he had. Lyra looked at him and said, "This is my battle. You should go." Ryan shook his head. "I will not leave you." Lyra's eyes softened. "Then we stand together." The fighting spread across the palace halls. Ryan and Lyra moved through the glowing corridors, dodging bursts of blue energy. At one point, a rebel soldier charged toward Lyra with a blade made of crystal. Ryan fired his weapon, striking the attacker's arm and sending the weapon spinning away. Lyra turned to him and said, "You saved me." Ryan replied quickly, "We save each other." The battle lasted hours. When the sound finally faded, the rebels had been pushed back beyond the palace walls. The guards captured the remaining fighters and secured the gates again. Smoke rose from broken crystal towers, and the palace glowed dimly under the red sky. Lyra stood in the center of the ruined hall. Her robes were torn and her crown was missing, but her eyes still shone with strength. She looked at Ryan and said, "You risked your life for me, human. No one has ever done that." Ryan replied, "You would have done the same. I could not stand aside while you were in danger." Lyra stepped closer. "Then tell me the truth. Is this what humans call love? The will to protect someone even when it brings danger?" Ryan hesitated. "Yes," he said finally. "Love makes people brave. It makes them protect those they care about no matter what." Lyra touched her chest gently. "Then that is what I feel. It burns like the energy of the source, but it is not pain. It is warmth, it is life. Tell me, human, how can I become your wife if love is what I feel for you?" Ryan froze. Her words hit him harder than any battle. "Queen Lyra, you cannot mean that. You are the ruler of your people." "I am only a traveler from another world," she smiled softly. "Titles and worlds do not matter. My heart is chosen. I have never felt such a thing before. You have shown me what it means to be more than a ruler. You have shown me what it means to be alive." Ryan struggled to find words. "But if your people learn of this, they will turn against you again. You saw what they did tonight." "I know," she said quietly, "but I cannot deny what I feel. You may not understand yet, but to me, love is not weakness. It is truth. If they rise again, I will face them not as their queen, but as someone who has found her heart." Ryan looked at her with respect. "Then you are braver than any human I have ever known." Lyra looked down and smiled. "You give me strength, human." That night, after the battle ended, Ryan stood on the balcony of his chamber. The stars above seemed closer than ever. He thought about Earth Command, who had no idea what was happening here. If they learned that the Queen of Crimson 4 had fallen in love with a human, they might see it as a threat. He recorded a message for Earth, but he did not send it. He said quietly, "The Queen of this world is not a danger. She seeks peace, not power. I cannot leave her now." The next morning, Lyra met with her council. The air was tense. The councilors looked tired but determined. One of them said, "Your Majesty, the rebellion is broken, but the fear remains. The people whisper that your heart is tied to the human. If this continues, they will not follow you." Lyra stood tall. "Then I will lead by truth, not fear. I will not hide what I feel." The counselor looked shocked. "If you speak it aloud, it could destroy the order of our world." Lyra's voice was firm. "Then let it be destroyed. A world without emotion is not alive. The human has shown me that." The council fell silent. They could not argue against their queen's strength. Later, Ryan entered the throne room. Lyra turned to him with a look of peace in her eyes. I told them the truth, she said. They know how I feel. I am no longer hiding. Ryan looked surprised. And they accepted it? Not all, she answered. But those who understand will stay. Those who cannot will leave. Change is never easy. Ryan took a slow breath. You are risking everything for something uncertain. She smiled softly. Love is always uncertain, but it is the only thing worth the risk. For the first time since he landed on the Red Moon, Ryan felt something inside him shift. He realized that Lyra's courage came from her heart, not her power. She was not a ruler trying to control destiny. She was a soul trying to discover it. As night came, they stood together once more on the balcony. The stars glowed above and the energy of the moon pulsed below them. Lyra looked at the horizon and said, The universe is wide, human, yet it feels smaller when you stand beside me. I do not care what my people say. I want to learn everything about your kind. I want to understand what it means to love completely. Ryan turned to her. Then we will learn together, she nodded slowly. Then it is decided. From this day our bond is real. Let the stars judge us, not our people. The wind moved softly across the balcony. The light from the crystals around them grew brighter, as if the moon itself approved of her words. But far beyond the palace, hidden deep within the shadows, other forces were gathering. The High Command of Earth had received strange signals from Crimson 4. They were sending ships to investigate, believing that the human explorer might have been captured. Neither Lyra nor Ryan knew that soon their love would face a test greater than war itself. The sky above Crimson 4 turned darker than ever before. Clouds of red dust spun like angry storms as human warships entered the alien sky. The blue glow of the Queen's palace crystals reflected off their metal hulls. Every citizen of the moon could see the human fleet blocking the horizon. The air felt heavy with fear. Ryan stood beside Queen Lyra on the high balcony of her crystal palace. Below them, alien guards ran to prepare defense shields. Energy towers began to hum, lighting up the entire capital city. The Queen's long silver robe flowed in the wind as she stared up at the incoming ships. Her calm face showed no fear, but her eyes carried deep sadness. Ryan's communicator crackled with a message from Earth Command. The voice of Admiral Lewis came through. Commander Ryan, you have violated protocol. Leave that moon immediately. The alien queen's growing influence is a threat to Earth's safety. Ryan looked down, then turned toward Lyra. They think you're dangerous, he said softly. The queen tilted her head, her glowing eyes calm. And what do you think, human? She asked. Ryan took a slow breath. I think they are afraid of what they don't understand. For a long moment, silence filled the air. Lyra looked out toward the red horizon. I never wanted war, she said quietly. I only wanted to learn about your kind, about your heart. Her voice carried pain, not anger. Ryan could feel how deeply she meant it. But the humans didn't care about her feelings. They only saw a risk. The first warning shot came from the lead human ship. A beam of light shot across the sky and hit the planet's shield, shaking the ground. Alarm sirens blared through the alien city. Lyra raised her hand and her guards froze in place. Do not attack, she commanded. We will not strike first. Ryan turned to her in disbelief. They're firing at you. You can't just stand here and do nothing. Lyra looked at him and said gently, If I start this war, your people will never trust mine. I must show them that we can be better. Her words struck him deeply. Even under threat, she thought of peace. It was something many humans forgot long ago. But the situation was growing worse. More human ships entered orbit. Alien defense units surrounded the city, the air filled with tension like a bowstring pulled too tight. Ryan's communicator beeped again. The Admiral's voice shouted through the static. Ryan, you are now considered compromised. You've been influenced by the alien. Leave or be treated as a traitor. Ryan shut off the device. He could not leave. He looked at Lyra and said, If you're staying, I'm staying. A strange silence passed between them. Then the Queen smiled softly. Then you are truly brave, human, she whispered. But bravery has a price. Hours passed as the first wave of human drones entered the planet's atmosphere. Alien defense towers opened fire, sending streams of blue energy into the sky. The battle began above the palace, lighting the air with fire and color. Ryan helped command the defense teams. Though he was human, the alien guards trusted his advice. He guided them to use shield generators, helped aim energy cannons, and coordinated counterattacks. The Queen stayed at the command hall, watching over every move. Through the noise of explosions, Ryan saw something that shook him. A group of alien citizens had left their homes to carry injured soldiers back to safety. Even during battle, these beings cared for each other, risking their lives to save others. Ryan realized that these aliens were not monsters. They were not a threat. They were just like humans, afraid, hopeful, and full of emotion. He ran back to the Queen. "You have to tell Earth Command what you're doing," he said. "Show them you're not attacking civilians. Maybe they'll listen." Lyra nodded. "Prepare the message," she said. Ryan used the palace's main transmitter to send a signal to the human fleet. On the screen, the image of Queen Lyra appeared before the Earth generals. Her glowing eyes and calm voice filled the channel. "Humans of Earth," she began, "you came here with fear, but fear should not lead to war. Look around your world. You once fought each other for the same reasons. If you destroy us, you destroy your own chance for peace. I ask for no surrender, only understanding." Her message went silent after that. For a moment, the battle paused. The human ships stopped firing. Everyone waited. Ryan looked up, hoping they would answer peacefully. But then another explosion tore through the shield. A rogue human commander ignored the ceasefire order and fired again. The alien palace shook violently. Ryan grabbed Lyra and pulled her to cover as part of the ceiling broke apart. Crystal fragments rained down, glowing as they hit the floor. Smoke filled the hall. Guards rushed to protect the Queen. When the dust settled, Lyra stood up slowly. Her robe was torn, but her eyes burned brighter than before. "Enough," she said in a firm voice. She walked to the center of the hall and raised her staff. A wave of blue light spread across the city. The energy shield strengthened, forming a bright barrier that covered the entire capital. The Queen's power connected to the moon itself. Ryan felt the ground tremble. "What are you doing?" he shouted. "I am protecting my people," she said, "but I will not destroy yours." The light rose higher, reaching the edge of the atmosphere. It didn't attack, it only pushed the human fleet back. The ships retreated slightly, unable to break through. Ryan watched in awe. "You could end this war," he said. "Why don't you?" She looked at him with sadness. "Because if I win by force, I lose what makes me worthy of your kind's respect." Her words struck his heart. She wasn't fighting for power. She was fighting for peace. Hours later, the human fleet received a new message from Earth Command. The Global Council had seen the Queen's broadcast. People on Earth were divided. Some wanted peace, others feared her power. Admiral Lewis appeared on Ryan's communicator once more. His tone was softer this time. "Commander Ryan, you've made your point. Earth Command will consider peace negotiations, but you must ensure she disarms her defenses." Ryan looked at Lyra. "They're willing to talk," he said. The Queen lowered her staff. The glowing shield dimmed slowly, letting the stars shine through again. She looked tired but relieved. "Then maybe," she said softly, "there is still hope." Ryan smiled. "You did it. You stopped a war." But Lyra shook her head. "No, human, you stopped it. Your courage showed them we can trust each other." Outside, the skies cleared. The red dust settled, revealing the twin suns rising once again. The alien city stood strong, its towers glowing with soft light. People began to come out of their shelters. They looked up and saw that the human ships were pulling back. Children pointed to the sky, smiling. Adults cheered with relief. Peace had survived, at least for now. Ryan stood with Lyra on the same balcony where it had all begun. The light from the twin suns reflected in her eyes. She turned to him and said quietly, "I did not fight this battle for victory. I fought it for you." Ryan looked at her in silence. There were no words that could express what he felt. He simply nodded. The Queen smiled. "Now maybe our hearts can rest." Far away in Earth's command centers, humans were already rewriting history. News reports spoke of a brave human who risked everything to prevent interplanetary war. The image of a human standing beside an alien queen was shared across the stars. On Crimson 4, the Queen and the human walked side by side through the city streets. The people bowed to her, but she stopped them. "Do not bow," she said gently. "Stand tall. Today you are free because we chose peace." Ryan knew that more challenges would come. Not everyone on Earth or Crimson 4 would accept this new friendship easily. But for now, the fires of war were gone. replaced by a light that neither species could ignore. That night, as the stars shone above the red moon, Ryan sat alone outside the palace. Lyra joined him quietly. "Do you think your people will truly accept us one day?" she asked. Ryan looked up at the stars. "If they can see what I see in you," he said, "then yes. One day they will," the queen smiled faintly. "Then I will wait for that day." And as the soft wind of Crimson 4 brushed against them, the human and the alien queen sat together, watching the endless sky, knowing that even across two worlds, hearts could still find peace. The red moon Crimson 4 had never been so quiet. After the battle with the human fleet, the city slowly returned to normal. Crystal towers glowed softly in the sunlight, and the people walked through streets that were still filled with small debris from the earlier fight. But for the first time in centuries, there was hope. Ryan walked through the palace halls beside Queen Lyra. She had returned her crown and robes, but her expression was softer than before. The weight of the throne seemed lighter on her shoulders now. Her people watched her with respect and curiosity, but there was no fear. They had seen how she had chosen to protect both her people and the humans. "Peace is not easy," Ryan said quietly as they entered the main hall. Lyra nodded. "No, it is not. But peace is worth every risk. Today we proved that." She paused and looked at him. "You proved that?" Ryan smiled faintly. "I only helped when I could." "You inspired me to act." The queen's eyes glowed warmly. "Then perhaps inspiration is the true bond between us human." Their peaceful moment was interrupted by a small delegation of the High Council. The oldest counselor, a tall being with pale silver skin, stepped forward. "Your Majesty," he said carefully, "we have watched your decisions and the people are divided. Some still fear the human influence. Others are curious and wish to learn. We request your guidance to create unity." Lyra took a deep breath. "Unity will not come overnight, but I will show them the way, and you will help me, human, as my guide to understanding both worlds." Ryan felt honored and nervous. "I will do my best," he said. Over the next few weeks, Ryan worked closely with Lyra to build connections between humans and the alien people. Using the palace's communication systems, he sent messages to Earth explaining the truth. The Queen was not a threat. She was wise, just, and capable of love and compassion. Humans who once feared the moon now studied it as a place of hope. Meanwhile, Lyra met with her citizens. She encouraged them to ask questions about human life, to learn about emotions, creativity, and freedom. Children laughed and ran along the crystal paths, imitating stories Ryan told them about Earth. Adults studied records and learned to see the value of curiosity and care. One morning, Ryan prepared to leave for Earth. He had been summoned to brief the commanders personally about the Queen's actions. He had trained for missions like this, but he hesitated. Lyra approached him as he packed his bag. "Are you leaving so soon?" she asked quietly. Ryan looked at her. "I must. Earth Command needs to know what has happened here. But I will return as soon as I can." Lyra placed her hand gently on his arm. Her skin was warm and alive, as if it carried energy from the moon itself. "I do not wish to see you leave," she admitted. "But I understand duty." Ryan smiled softly. "I will return, and when I do, we will continue to build what we started." She nodded. "Then I will wait for you." Before he could respond, the first human ships approached the planet for a peaceful visit. They had come not as conquerors, but as ambassadors. Ryan guided them to the city, introducing them to Lyra. She greeted the humans with grace and wisdom, her calm voice echoing through the palace. "We come as friends," Ryan told the human officers. "Lyra has shown the courage to protect both her people and yours. We are here to learn, not to fight." The human leaders were impressed. They had seen the reports of the battle, the Queen's calm leadership and her refusal to attack Earth's fleet. Slowly, they lowered their defenses and extended their hands in respect. Lyra spoke to them, her glowing eyes steady. "I am Queen of Crimson 4. My people live by honor and energy, but I have learned much from your kind. Today I ask only for friendship and understanding. Let our two worlds walk together, not against each other." The humans bowed slightly, then shook her hands. Ryan felt a surge of pride. The impossible had been achieved. Two very different worlds were now finding trust. Days passed, and the Queen continued to work with humans and her citizens. Ryan remained by her side, teaching about human culture, art, and emotion. Lyra laughed and smiled more freely than ever. She asked questions about love and life and even shared stories of her own people. One evening, as the twin suns set across the horizon, Ryan and Lyra stood on the balcony of the palace. The city glowed softly below, and the air was calm. Lyra looked at him and said quietly, "Human, I wish to ask something that I have wondered since the day you came." Ryan's heart beat faster. "What is it?" he asked. "Can I become your wife?" She said simply. Ryan froze. The question was unexpected, but he understood the depth behind it. "Lyra," he began carefully, "you are my friend, my guide, and my inspiration. But our worlds are so different. I do not know if we can live together as humans understand it." She looked at him with soft eyes. "I do not ask for law or title. I only ask for your heart. If your heart accepts, then it does not matter what rules exist. Love is stronger than law." Ryan felt warmth spread through him. He took her hand gently. "Then I accept. Not because of title or law, but because I care for you. You have shown me courage, kindness, and wisdom. You have changed both your world and mine. I cannot deny my heart." Lyra smiled, her eyes glowing brighter than the crystal towers below. "Then I am yours in every way that matters, human." That night, Ryan and Lyra walked through the gardens together. The citizens of the moon watched silently, some curious, others in awe. They had seen love between worlds, and it was unlike anything they had known. Children whispered and pointed, inspired by the courage it took for the queen to follow her heart. Ryan and Lyra spoke quietly. "One day I want you to see Earth," Ryan said. Lyra nodded. "And I want you to stay here to help me teach our people." "I want to share both worlds, human, not just one," Ryan agreed. Together they planned a future where humans and aliens could learn from each other, sharing knowledge, culture, and even families. The first step had been taken. The bond between them was not only love but hope for two very different civilizations. Weeks turned into months. The palace became a center of learning, where humans and aliens studied together. Music filled the crystal halls. Stories were shared. Children learned both languages. Humans marveled at the glowing cities, while aliens learned to understand the meaning of care, trust, and friendship. One morning, Ryan stood on the balcony again, looking at Lyra. "Your people have changed because of you," he said softly. "And yours as well," Lyra replied. "You have shown them that we are not a threat, that we can walk together." Ryan smiled. "Then maybe our worlds are ready for more than peace. Maybe they are ready for trust." Lyra nodded. "Then we will continue. Together." The twin suns rose higher, casting long beams of light over the city. It was a new dawn for Crimson 4 and for humanity. The red moon was no longer distant or feared. It was a place of hope, of love, and of shared dreams. Years later, the first human families arrived on the moon. Children ran along crystal paths, laughing and playing with alien children. Humans learned to live with the energy of the moon, while aliens learned to feel emotions more fully. Ryan and Lyra watched from the balcony, their hands intertwined. "Do you ever regret it?" Ryan asked quietly. Lyra shook her head. "No, to feel love is the greatest gift. And now we share it between two worlds. That is worth every risk," Ryan smiled. "Then we have truly changed the universe." She looked at him, her glowing eyes soft. "It was not just me. It was us, human, together." And in that moment, the red moon shone brighter than ever. Crystal towers reflected the light of the twin suns. Children laughed, adults learned, and the sky above carried hope across the stars. Ryan and Lyra stood side by side, not as a human and an alien queen, but as two hearts that had crossed the divide of worlds. Their love was not bound by law, title, or fear. It was a bond stronger than the universe itself. And in the quiet of Crimson 4, both humans and aliens understood something that had never been known before. Love, courage, and hope could bridge any world, connect any heart, and create a future brighter than any star.